Hey, I don't need another one. And clearly, I don't need to come. You better get that one, Kyle. I don't need to come. This ain't that old school, brother.
3,
you can't find this at old school.
2, 1. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we're more organized. We got some segments to hit you with. We're going to talk about how you can't save everybody either, John, but don't have survivor's remorse.
Dude, I don't try to.
That's how you say it, right?
Yes, 100%.
And we got some Q&A.
Oh.
And Jeremy's dressed in varsity today. He's going to be on the show for a second.
Hey, listen, the pants are already starting to rip. You know what I'm saying?
And he's the only guy on the set with a hole in his jeans. But it's
yes,
okay.
He's got a hole in other places too.
So it's brought to you by Four Sigmatic. If you'd like to try some amazing Four Sigmatic mushroom coffee, go to FOURSIGMATIC.com/BIZ-BIS15. John, favorite one? Favorite mushroom coffee?
The mushroom coffee with cordyceps. Listen, if you're our listener and you have not tried it yet, I'm mad at you.
You should be.
I'm mad at you because it's so good and it will make you focus like me. And who doesn't want to focus like me? I know you do. I know you do.
I'm scared.
And Four Sigmatic will help you.
You actually scare me a little bit, John. So I will drink half a cup of Four Sigmatic.
You're not alone.
If you guys want 15% off, make sure you go to foursigmatic.com/bizbuys15. And we're welcoming a new sponsor, Butcher Box. I butchered
Get the name right. You butchered the name
of
Butcher Box, dude.
What I love about Butcher Box, though, is I like the throwback stuff. Like,
sure.
In your town, I literally used to do this. You would go to your butcher, and sometimes this still happens, but not very common.
Sure.
That you can get some, like, good grass-fed beef. And now this guy that started it is saying, boom, straight to your door. I mean, John, you want some beef? You want some chicken?
At the end of the day, what I love about it is making good, healthy food that's needed more available. And a company like Butcher Box makes it so easy to eat the right kind of nutrition and eat good food. So I wish there were more companies like them, but I'm very proud to have them be a part of this show, and I know our listeners are going to use the promo code,
which I'm about to drop now.
Drop it, Corey.
Because, check this out.
Hey, maybe Maurice should drop. He's smiling over there.
Maurice
Claret.
Maurice, I'm only talking to you if you signed up for Robinhood.
Yep. Saturday. What was that?
That's an extra plug for them. All right. So listen, I want to give you, if you use at ButcherBox the discount code BICEPS,
he's got a pitching wedge right now.
Free bacon for life with your order. When you sign up for a subscription, you use BICEPS. We give you $10 off at butcherbox.com and free bacon for life.
Can't.
Man, what?
You can't beat that.
You can't beat it.
What, Mo?
Yeah.
Bacon? All right. So
that's spooky.
Last episode, we started off with John out the gate on his early segment, but I'm going to make you hold off, John. So I know your back is going to be sweaty.
It's already sweating.
By the time we get to you.
Yeah.
But we're going to start off with Mo's mind.
There we go.
And I'm going to be organized, Mo. We got 6 minutes.
Yes, there we go.
And I want to hear what's on Mo's mind.
Ooh.
All right, I got really 2 things to talk about. The first one, and this has something to do with people requesting time or requesting attention through email, Instagram, or something. And if there's somebody, this is just advice to people out there. You're requesting Corey's time, John's time, anybody who you may look up to or think that you may get some information from. One of the best things you can do is to apply what somebody gives you. If I'm giving you advice, the best thing to do is to apply the advice that I'm giving to you, and to go out and say, hey, I've tried this, I tried that. Then you come and get feedback. But one of the worst things that you can do to kind of like put yourself on to do not disturb me anymore list.
Do not disturb list.
Yeah, I don't even know what to
He's
call
hanging
it.
that on his door.
Yeah, but it's just to not follow any advice I've given you, but then to come back and ask for more advice. And one of the biggest things is that I feel like you're just wasting my time now.
You slap the shit out of him.
No, so like I've had 2 people and they asked me a question. That's like me asking you, Corey, how do I get in shape? And then through the process, you give me all the information, and I come back to you, and I've not applied anything that you've said to me.
Right.
Then I'm asking you again, Cory, why don't I get the results? And the thing is like, Reese, well, you're wasting my time because I've given you the blueprint. You don't want to apply it. And even if you did apply it and it didn't work out, then maybe we can talk about what you didn't apply and then adjust.
What
You know what I'm saying? What we need to do. And so I would just, that's just like solid advice to people. When you're reaching out to people, and I told you I heard this from Big Meech, and I thought it was the greatest saying. He said, people with time have no money, people with money have no time. And literally, it's one of the greatest sayings that I have, because the more responsibility and money that has come into my life, I start to realize that my time is more important than anything, right?
Yes,
And when you give your time to somebody, you want these people to take it serious, because you're like, I'm giving you something that's of value, you know what I'm saying? And when you just take it and then it's like, oh man, you wasting my time, that's one thing. But then the second thing was that something totally different, but just the constant encouragement for anybody who follows me or anybody who follows the show, anything, to no matter what, to continuously learn. You know what I'm saying? I caught myself yesterday. I was driving down the road from Youngstown. I had another 3-hour trip. And as I was coming back down, I was like, man, when's the last time have I dug back into my audio books and dug into that stuff? And I'm going to tell you, it was one thing that influenced me. And so you had these football camps. The NFL has started up. So you saw these football camps on TV. And one thing that kind of hit it, you can get all your information on your phone now. So I didn't have to watch TV. I was watching the phone. But I seen a quarterback 50 times grab a snap, look at the receiver, throw the ball. My man did the same drill about like 50, 60, 70 times, and they were just showing it over and over and over again. And it hit me again. I was like, man, that's almost what business is like. You work on the same movements, the same stuff to perfect it so much. And even though that movement becomes mundane, even though this practice routine becomes mundane, is disciplining yourself to train yourself to do something. And then I thought to myself, I said, okay, where am I slacking off with business and just constantly being coached up? And so I don't want to listen to these audiobooks all the time, but this is where the coaching happens. You know what I'm saying? This is where the information happens, and trying to get discipline mentally again to drive myself, like not when I'm motivated, not when I feel like listening, but constant listening to stuff that I know that will get me better, whether I like it or not. You know what I'm saying? So that's
forcing yourself no matter what, Mo.
Yeah, so every day you step on that field, just like this morning, every day you go to practice, you get up, you don't feel like doing the stuff probably 70% of the time. But through the process of just discipline, you get up and you make it happen, and you get results, whether you like it or not. No matter how you're feeling, if you go and do this stuff every day, like, there's results that come from it. But when it comes to the mind, I seem to only want to read when I'm motivated. You know what I'm saying? And when I seen that football play, when he was just throwing the ball and throwing the ball and throwing the ball and throwing the ball, and he had the coach there, and the coach was just working on the nuanced mechanics, and it was just like making sure you grab the ball tight, making sure when you rotate you get your hips around, making sure your elbows tucked, make sure you following through, make sure you keep your eyes downfield. And just like from being at practice so much, I knew what he was teaching me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just thinking like how monotonous that becomes, but these are professionals, and that's what makes you a professional. And I'm pretty sure when you're talking into the mixed martial arts and even weightlifting, anything, it just takes technique and consistency and repetition over and over again. But I said it's easier to do it in the physical realm, but I'm in the business world now, so you just can't get motivated. Like, and when you think about this, right, you can go. I read what is it called? I read a segment where they're talking about average guys are running these Fortune 500 companies, and they were talking about the ability to read one book a week. All these guys are reading one book a week, and I can imagine that these guys, their time is probably even less limited than mine, but there's something magical within that one book a week thing that they're grabbing or getting out. And even if they miss 52 and they get 35, you know what I'm saying, there's a reason or something that you're grabbing out of the information. So I was telling myself, like, be a little bit more diligent what you're learning. So I turned on the audio book and I rode down with it for 2 hours.
But real quick on that, when you're talking about a Fortune 500 CEO reading a book a week, think about it. Those guys are in the position they're in because they've figured something out that other people haven't.
Yes.
And we can visualize physical things, right? Repetition. Those guys, my guess would be, is their repetition is the understanding that if I am not evolving or adding to my knowledge base, how am I going to grow my business more? Because
Yes.
right now I'm at a level on Tuesday.
Yes.
Right? Next Tuesday I need to be at a higher level because this business world is so ultra competitive. If I am not adding tools, I'm going to lose.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like practice in sports. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. It's just like I think all of us knows. I think anybody here knows, whether you went through school, whether you compete in anything, or whether you're like a fighter getting ready for a fight, that when you dialed in, and just like lately, like I could just feel myself like
I can feel you.
I'm like ultra focused. Like I'm talking about, I don't think I've been this focused. We talking about 4 hours, like even to the point where 4 hours of sleep ain't even bother me no more. 4 hours. Look, I got up at 3 a.m. last night, and I got up in the middle. Look, got up in the middle of the night, and the first thing I think about is my business and what we need to do better, and really jotting down notes. And jotting down notes at 3 a.m. like I'm getting ready to walk into a meeting, and then laid back down for like 45 minutes, got back up, and just all the way dialed in. And I just think for anybody, but I think these are just some of the things where you dialed into something, you focused on something. These are the things that you start to see that you need to do. Okay, I need to get better mentally. I need to get better doing this. I need to get better doing that. And even all the way to the point where just making sure, even my daughter's here, right? Making sure she's in the picture with all the stuff that I'm doing. Not making an excuse to say, hey, you're out of the picture.
She just did the Clarette shoulder juke
Yeah, there
when
we
you
go.
said, yeah, there you go.
There
Yeah,
we
Stiff
go.
arm.
So
yeah.
That's good, Mo.
That's my 6 minutes.
And
a little bit
I
over.
want to let you know that your talk about, your business and your systems is rubbing off on this guy. This guy is starting to embrace systems
Embrace the system.
hard.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
embrace the
God, yeah, he's bracing it.
I'm gonna
He
talk
is.
about something else.
Yeah,
My whole life's a system.
he's fighting it.
Embrace the system.
Listen, I got an amazing system that's yielded this every morning. It is the system.
Well, we want to yield more,
Yeah, I got it.
always.
So what I'm going to talk about is kind of working off what you said, Mo, and I don't know what I'm going to call my segment yet, but maybe you guys can give me some ideas, but I'm going to figure it out soon. But I was taking Alex to his friend's house last night, and we was just chatting in the car, not listening to music, whatever, not on our phones, which was nice. And it was only like a, 15-minute ride. But I said to him, I was like, like 90, probably 8% of people, maybe 97, don't like what they do every day. And he said, yeah, I kind of understand that, Dad, because a lot of people, they don't like their job, do they? I said, no. I said, but you know how Dad is. Like, we've had some ups and downs, but I like what I do every day. And I said, I need you to know that it doesn't matter. I'm never going to squash the dream of what you want to do. Like, I'm completely open-minded. You want to be a YouTuber, you want to do this, you want to be a business owner, you don't want to be a business owner, you want to be a teacher, it doesn't matter to me, right, as long as you like it. I said, but I need you to keep your mind open and not close it down. As you get older, it's people are going to keep trying to close it, and just know that this environment, it's wide open. And so he understands it, and he says, this is like probably the most serious he's ever asked me. He's like, so, but how do I know? And I was like, well, it starts off with what you like to do. And so, like, now in the game of the video games, he knows who Ninja. He's watching 600,000 people play video games, and I'm trying to, like, I'm not into it, but I'm trying to, like, understand it even more because we've talked about it. So I was on Twitch with him watching this thing where they were doing a $3 million charity giveaway game, and, like, Tyron Woodley was playing in it, and the Marshmallow DJ dude, and all these, like, it's a whole nother level of stars, but it's involved with these video games and DJs and all this stuff, right? Paul George was in it too. But anyhow, so it's like trying to understand that there's this whole other world that I'm not in, but it yields income. I'm not even saying he wants to be in that, but I was trying to, like, explain to him, like, do you think all those kids on that stage, their parents believe they could play video games and make $1 million, $10 million a year? No way, right?
No.
So it just basically was a conversation that was actually serious. I've been saying this stuff like you have probably to Jaden forever. But, at 13, now he's starting to be like, wait a second, all right, I don't have to figure it out right now, but I just wanted him to know, like, no one ever told me that, hey, it's all open. It's all open, and I'll support it. Right. So I was just trying to, like, get that across. And then secondly, what I want to speak about is I rededicated myself to my conditioning in the mornings. And there's something, and this is why they call it the runner's high. Mine's like the lunger's high. It's much different, but
I'm gonna talk to you about that.
Yeah, so I'm lunging. I'm lunging up the hill. It took me 25 minutes on Tuesday. It's about 800 meters roughly. I made it in 20 minutes today, under 20 minutes today, and I'm the the clarity of thought walking down the hill is the best that it is the entire day.
First of all, what hill y'all ran? It's 800 meters.
It's just at my house. It's in my
Gotcha.
neighborhood. So I just go out of my door and just lunge straight up the hill.
Wow.
So I go all the way to the top of the cul-de-sac, basically. And so it's like, to me, there's no one really driving on my road. You
Gotcha.
know, it's
Yep.
it's early in the morning, and I just think that it can be a brisk walk. It can be something as crazy as what I'm doing. And I know I'm the crazy exercise guy, so you're always going to hear that from me. But even I get out of those type of things from time to time, and just rededicating myself to that just this week, coming off of different goals that I had in powerlifting, now moving in to the summer shred. And, it's just been kind of invigorating. And, I am embracing systems because I have systems in my life that have yielded amazing results, and I'm trying to apply that to other things. But that's kind of what's kind of rolling around in my head today. So
I like it. I like the conversation. I think that's super teachable with parents
really
to
neat.
kids. I think it's neat, but I never had that either.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, and if someone would tell you to just follow what you like, man, that would.
And leading by example. See, that's the thing is, like,
Yeah.
I'm not just telling him, I'm living it. And
course,
so
of
that's
course.
what he knows.
Of course.
I'm just trying to make him aware of that's what's happening right in front of your eye, like right now.
I'm telling you how crazy it is just for it to be possible in this day and age.
Right.
When you tell somebody you can be what you want to, like,
Truly, yeah.
Like, truly.
yeah,
It's awesome.
It wasn't these dynamics even. What is this? This is 2018. 10 years ago, this wasn't even a conversation.
Oh, man. But that's the conversation I always wanted to have.
Yeah, but for it to be real now,
Yeah.
like
it's
just
cool.
and not just for him, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, for
No.
a lot of people, that thing is real.
Well, and we now with the social media era and a platform like Business and Biceps, it's real because people are looking to us of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and what they want to do their own version of that. And so the teaching platform that we have here is amazing. So it's not just about my kid or your kid or John's family. It can be everybody. It's cool.
Yeah.
So what's going on in Fosco's world?
Well, there's always a lot going on.
I'm aware.
In my world, a lot of thoughts, and no. In all seriousness, I'm trying to bring real thoughts, and I don't want to just simply attack things. Although I
Your
still
last one
think
was
there's.
pretty good.
I still think there should be a disclaimer for the things I say because I don't mean all of them.
Okay.
If I get fired up, I'm sorry. So I just have a specific outlook on how I believe the world should be or could be or how I would hope it to be. And I think there's a major problem that people don't put enough time into looking at, and that's that, like, there's, typically in this country there's two schools of thought. We kind of grow up in this, conservative, liberal, and I'm not just talking politics. I'm talking everything. And with the amount of division right now that is in this country, I truly don't understand how either side, right? Like the hardcore, America first, which is fine, I respect, or the bleeding heart liberal that any immigrant should be brought in, like how they don't understand that these issues, these discussions, these problems, these challenges can only be solved one way. The only way as a country and as a community you can solve problems is to come together with those who do not agree with you. Because there's two power structures on both sides, and the only way to make one thing work is to come together. It's like we've gotten into this place where if you don't agree with me, I'm going to go on my fucking team. We're going to point at you and say, you're wrong. Even if you're right, we're going to find something you're a little wrong at. And
aggressively, too.
Aggressively. and we forget that, dude, we're Americans first. Before we're black, before we're white, before we're rich, before we're poor, before we're Republican, before we're Democrat. We are Americans. And when has this this country, or when has a community, or when has a business thrived when there is stark division that will not even communicate? That would be like me and you in this company thinking two separate ways and not be willing to communicate. Because everything you say is stupid. Because everything I say is right. And you're fucking wrong. That's what it is. You're fucking wrong. So if people literally, this is what I don't understand. If you literally want to make things better, how can you believe that sitting in your little teepee with everyone who thinks just like you is going to incite change? It makes me lose belief in this country, because I think they do know it's not going to incite change, but they have their little party, and their little party is built on, economic benefits, a good old boys club, and all these things that keep them together that are more important to their particular system than unity. And I don't know how a country, a business, or a community operates without unity. I don't think it happens. Like if you look at history and you go back to the time after World War II, there was immense unity. There was a thriving middle class. Both sides talked to each other. Both sides didn't always agree, but that was okay, and that was when this country prospered the most. When it was, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about people fucking came together, and now nobody wants to even entertain the thought of sitting down with someone who thinks differently, because when you sit down with someone who thinks differently, you find out that they're a human being like you're a human being, and you have so much more in common with them than you thought. But just because you demonize them and you have this thought in your head, it's like you're missing the chance to make a change. Change is not made by thinking the same. You have to open your mind to that, to think that dude who supports Donald Trump, he might actually be able to teach me something. He might open my eyes to something I never thought about because of the bubble I live in. We all live in bubbles, right? Yeah.
You know what you can dig in about that? As you were talking, the biggest thing, though, humility. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? They say humility is the beginning of all understanding. And just even being humble enough to say, hey, I want to talk to you. Let me hear your perspective without having a preconceived notion. And I can even tell you this, guys would have different views. Like, there was once a episode I watched from, out of all people, Tupac, right? And Tupac was in jail, and he talked about, he was like, man, I was in jail with all these Nazi guys, and I really wanted to figure out, like, why do y'all hate black people, right? And so I remember when he
Sounds
said
like something Pac would say.
he was like, I remember he said that in a documentary, but I was in prison, there's a guy named Chad. And I was like, let me ask this dude, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that he hated black people. He said, I just never grew up around them. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I didn't know him. And he was like, so, well, he was, I don't even know, they got Aryan brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm talking to him, and he's describing to me, just like, I don't hate black people, I just want to stick around white people. That was like a perspective I never heard before. You know what I'm saying? And then it wasn't
It's the
like
unknown, Mo.
But it was like, I don't hate you, but I don't want to be around you because I just don't know you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's a whole different perspective
interesting.
shift
Absolutely.
than.
Isn't that crazy? You can get in those type of talks in prison just
Yeah,
because.
but just think about it like this. He said it, but put like this. He said it, but if you look at even when they come over here, look at people, Indians, right? All the Indians in Columbus, Ohio, moved to Dublin, right? And they're not racist towards other people. They just stay within themselves and work within themselves. And you can have conversations with them, but they kind of have the same theory. But I think like in America, black and white is so starkly different. So that's viewed as if we don't affiliate ourselves with each other as a hateful thing. But it came from that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I kind of respected where he was coming from with it. And cool dude, but I was like, all right, get it, So I got it. But to my point, as you're talking, and I'm just trying to find like a helpful way, but it's having the humility to say like, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, all that stuff. Like, these were labels and categories that were popular, and people thought this is just my understanding that people thought like, oh, I think I need to identify with this group of people and agree with everything. And I've said it on here, and I've said it publicly. There's things that I agree with Democrats, Republicans.
Same.
Right.
There's a lot of issues that blur a lot of lines, not blur, that cross,
Yeah.
that cross lines. But I don't affiliate myself with I call them gangs. That's all they are.
Right. That's why groups, I think, are dangerous, because they eliminate or they discourage free thinking.
100%. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this group, we think like this. Let's talk about how we all think like this. And there's a preconceived notion that, like, wait a minute, no, I don't agree with that. Oh, you don't agree with that? Get the fuck out the group.
You know, I tell you, you know what book helped me, and this is just for anybody who just might even want to expand on this issue. Devotional non-duality. Like, and it was talking about there's no right and there's no wrong. This is just your perspective and your level of consciousness versus this perspective and your level of consciousness. And if I have a thought in my head, and I'm not saying like just because I think this way that's wrong, this is saying this is the way I think, this is the way he thinks. And it's not to say I'm more evolved or more developed. This is just how we both view the world, right? And I think when you can, and devotional non-duality was by Dr. David Hawkins, and I read it in prison, and it was like there's no good and bad. You know, there's just only degrees of good, and you just may be on a chart somewhere else. You know, like like there's this chart that he has, and I should get it. I'm gonna get it and break it in because I don't have the book somewhere. But the chart basically has certain words go with certain levels of consciousness and education, and they associate or affiliate it with certain behaviors. And then it talks about the activities you like. Even it'd be fun it'll be fun for you all to see the chart, and then to realize like things that you may appreciate, how people with art think, the things that you appreciate, the things you enjoy in your life, the words you use, the vocabularies you have. Like all this stuff, when I looked at the chart, I was dead on. I was like, man, this is all what I think about. But it shows and it pushes you into things that you should identify to stay in a certain mental space. And it also talks about like having conversations with different people, just y'all won't see the same. You know what I'm saying? Not that they're wrong, but just y'all views on the world won't be the same until they raise their level of consciousness. And I think more or less what you're talking about. And it talks about people having appreciation for art and chess and things that vibrate high, things that keep you vibrating mentally high in like a clear space as you're talking from a spiritual standpoint. That's all the books are. That feeds more into that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just staying in a spiritual space where everybody's opinion is respected and and things of that nature. So
I like it. Mo, I like chess, but not art really. I wonder what that means.
Either chess day.
No. I do like chess day. I'm talking about actual chess.
You
I
play
play
chess?
chess a lot, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I love chess.
me and all my kids play.
Are you serious?
Both boys know how to play.
Do you understand I love to play chess, but nobody in my house knows how to play chess?
There it is, Mo.
I had
Cigars
no
and
clue.
chess in my spot, bro.
Listen,
Let's go.
Man,
All right.
look,
That's legit, though,
that's
right?
prison stuff.
I'll probably get smoked, but that's good. All right, so Jeremy is dressed in varsity today. He's from behind the, chair or wall or computer or wherever he was sitting at before. We got a few question and answer. After Jeremy reads a question, John, you can start. I'll roll Mo, and then back to Jeremy again.
All right.
Let's do it.
What are some alternative income streams individuals could tap into that do not plan on owning or operating their own business full-time? For example, this guy, I work law enforcement currently and would like to continue working in law enforcement, but also would like to generate additional income on the side.
What's his name, Jeremy?
John Halsey.
Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
John Halsey. The first thing I'm going to go to is something I had experience with early on, and that's looking and waiting for a real estate market to dip and doing your research and finding out which geographic areas suffer the most, but also maintain a large population and have a large employment base, right? Where there's a lot of industry. We're not talking in the middle of nowhere in the Bahamas. We're talking places like Phoenix, Arizona, and Las Vegas, Nevada, and things like that. So when there's a real estate downturn, it's a great opportunity to either invest in 2 or 3 bedroom condos, or even take out a small mortgage on one and create some value in an asset that just took a beating. So you're going to get it at a fairly
Discount price.
reasonable price compared to what it normally is, and then you're going to create income on the rental. And you could either, if you don't have time to manage it, there's property management companies everywhere. They typically take 10% of the rental fee. So you're renting it out. Let's say you're taking in $1,000 a month on a property you paid $50,000 for. That's 2 bedrooms, and all the while you're taking this in every month, right? You're accruing value in the equity of the home. So you're winning on both sides. You're taking in monthly income, and in 5 years, maybe 10 years, you've doubled up, and you have an asset that has doubled in value. So I think that's a kind of an easy way to start, but I would not recommend doing that in a real estate economy that's kind of peaking.
Yeah, what comes to mind to me is my brother-in-law Ryan. Right, he works managing like something outside of Honda that supports Honda, like they make some type of parts or whatever. And so he has a management job, but then when he comes home, he's really into like motorcycles and parts and all these type of things. And so he taught himself how to powder coat. He built himself a little powder coat thing in his garage, and he realized that there's these guys that drive these Harleys and all these things. They don't want to pay all this money for powder coat, and so he taught himself how to do it because he saw a little side hustle marketplace. And he is powder coating so much, these little just part that goes on the muffler, part that does this, it's unbelievable.
What is powder coat?
So make it black, basically, like take it chrome and just make it all black.
Just like murdering out rims.
Yeah, like murdering out rims. That's powder
Oh,
coating, right?
oh,
So he
gotcha.
built a powder coat. He just built like an oven thing, taught himself how to do it, YouTubed it, figured it out. I don't know how he figured it out. He's busy as
YouTube.
shit. And so basically, he's got like a legit 6-figure management job, but he's probably making almost as much in his garage powder coating bike parts, and
wow.
has paid all his stuff off. So I guess what it comes down to is if you want to create a side business, not your only business, what do you like to do? Once again, kind of
Yeah,
what I talked.
100%.
And so for him, he was into this. He was getting people to powder coat his parts. He was into the way they looked. And I always think about this. There's really easy entry points. If you like to train, like work out, personal training is a really good one. If you like cars, detailing cars is a good one. There's entry points into making money. Now that is trading time for money, but there is entry points all over the place for side money.
But it's better than trading money to start something that may not work. What I love about what you said is he enjoys doing it. So his barrier to entry on it is so low, because the cost is not like, oh, I got to go buy a building. I got to go set up a 5-year lease. It's beautiful.
No, he's just doing it in his garage, making like good money. It's impressive.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, when you talk about so let me ask you. So the question was, he's looking for a side job to
an additional way to create income that can allow him to continue working his normal job, his job in law enforcement.
Oh, cool. I mean, well, I don't know per se, but when it first popped up, I thought of 2 things that I always think of that if all fell down and I wanted to make a few bucks, I would just start buying stuff from Alibaba, right? And literally, I would basically create my own web page, my own marketplace, and literally, I would start buying products that I think that I could resell in America for a higher margin, just to people who would just need miscellaneous products. And Alibaba is nothing more than anybody who wants to know about it. It's just a website where you're basically sourcing products from
all over the world.
overseas, all over the world.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And figuring out, and you don't have to fall in love with every product. You just have to realize what people buy. And,
Phone cases.
Yeah, phone cases. You know, phone cases are the biggest thing that they have on there. You buying these phone cases for 20, 30 cents. And I don't care if I like phone cases or not, but if people can buy them and I can market them and I can put them on my Facebook, my YouTube, my Twitter, Instagram. I lost train of thought on all of them. I was like, yeah, right. So
I follow you on all those. So
I thought about all those. Another one is, and this goes into buying things, but I've just seen what my lady has done, and literally, I never realized how many people need T-shirts.
Oh.
Like literally,
I just realized that.
Oh.
Like I'm talking about never realized. Like, and so just even me ourselves, I've asked her to do probably in the last 2 weeks about 700 of them. You know what I'm saying? And so she just cranking those things out. But she literally started with it, and he's a law enforcement, so he probably has a few pennies. But she started out with a $200 machine for screen printing and a $1,000 heat press, and that's a very soft investment. And from there, we're buying shirts, and then and she self-taught herself off of YouTube. Saying how to
Love
press
it.
shirts, and literally and just started just like anything else, and just through time and everything else. But you will be surprised, whoever the gentleman is, how many people, whether he's with Little League baseball teams, football teams, companies who just want shirts for the
Schools.
summertime,
Yeah.
schools. I'm talking.
That's just popping off, huh?
Yeah, I tell you like this, but even then, she had so much stuff she couldn't even do the embroidery stuff. So I took about probably 400 shirts to a lady to get embroidered, right? And just the amount of money that this other lady made just from setting, and literally when you embroider stuff now, they have the software where you can just download the image. Man, dude, you just pushing shirts through. So, if that was something that he wanted to do and not be a full-on entrepreneur, you can start to realize, hey, I can crank out these many shirts and this will bring X income, and you can start marketing your services. So it's definitely stuff to do. Those are, obviously 3 different ideas, but that was just something I would do.
That's good. Question 2, Jeremy.
All right, question number 2. When was a time in your life when you may have been successful and became too comfortable? How did you find your hunger and look for a new challenge that would lead you to something more?
That one's really clear for me. So my first real business where I made real money started as an online retailer, and then I took that into a physical retail space, and then I took that into a gym and a physical retail space that fed off of each other. And retail money was great, but you had to constantly reinvest if you wanted to grow. So if you sold 100,000 a month, you should probably put 150,000 in if you want to just take over the marketplace. It's like basically why Amazon 5 years ago their stock was so low, because they were making no money, because they understood that it was all about having the most stuff, and then you can pull it back over time. But when I went through that process of understanding, man, all this money I make has got to go back in because we got to have the most, I started to lose passion for that business because I didn't see the payoff unless I wanted to put 20 years into it or 10 years, and I didn't want to do that. So that kind of loss of passion led me into why I went into retail in the first place. And the reason I went into retail was because I loved a sport. The sport was mixed martial arts. And what that retail opportunity gave me the ability to do was take my marketing capital and invest it in sponsoring fighters. And that created relationships with me and the fighters, which then I said, you know what? It doesn't matter if I'm not a lawyer, I'm going to try to work with these guys in any capacity. So then I said, you know what? Can I try to sell sponsorships for you? They said yes. And then that turned into me managing 1. Then that turned into me managing 5, 10. If I never would have lost my passion for retail, I never would have built the biggest sports agency in the UFC space, period. So it's exactly what happened, but you have to kind of follow your love, and you have to follow your passion. So if you lose it on one sector of business, that doesn't mean you're not a businessman. That just means you have to listen to your heart, listen to your mind, understand the resources you have around you, and make a educated pivot.
Yeah, so if I remember back to, there was a time, I think I was in the supplement game for like 2 years or like a year and a half. I was, doing powerlifting for a while, and I let my body weight get to like 239 at my height, which was pretty impressive for me. And I realized that a lot of the goals I had set for myself that had to do with, different bodybuilding type of things, different covers for magazines, all these things that I hadn't achieved yet. And I had just like kind of got comfortable with allowing it really to get away from me. And my pop just wasn't there, straight up. And social media had just started to get busier. I just signed up for Twitter. Like, I was just starting to move on that. And so basically what I did was I said, all right, why did I start this in the first place? It wasn't to be out of shape and not motivating. It was to be like ripped to the bone, motivating for people, pushing out content, showcasing, living by example, And so I just made this really like hard stop in my life at that point and said, yo, time to get back to dreaming of what you really wanted for this whole thing. And then capture that process, which becomes the content. And I went from 239 to 170 in a period of time, captured the process, and over that, let's call it 5-year period, I hit 13 covers, multiple shows, and basically turned it way up. And by me turning way up, that's literally how all of these people started to know about me throughout that window of time. It would have been really easy to just say, I'm an executive of this company. I'm going to make okay money. I'm going to sit behind that desk. I'm going to tell people what I used to do. Instead of, in my mind, I was like, this whole time, I said when I got this started, I was going to be the only executive that led by example to the highest level at the same time as this company was doing what it was doing. And that's what I executed. And when I made myself uncomfortable and didn't, eat the food that I wanted to eat, and I did the extra lunge and I got up early, it changed everything for me.
Yeah, my stuff is kind of similar and led to a lot more debacles in my life than that. But it wasn't in business; it was in football. But it's still relatively the same thing with success. And I had a bunch of success my freshman year, and probably learning from that is the reason I don't slack now. You know what I'm saying? But I had a bunch of success when I did play football, and from there, what ended up happening was that I started to get away from the process of work. I started to get away from the gym, started to get away from watching a film, started to get away from all of the routines that basically made me into who I was and made me to have success on the football field, and started to enjoy all of the external stuff, the party and the women, the extra friends, all of that other stuff that basically doesn't drive any more success on the field, right? And so one of the biggest reasons I lost focus is because, like everybody, I heard Warren Buffett actually say this, never celebrate victory, right? And so I thought that I made it. I thought that I arrived. I thought that, now I'm the celebrity and that I can just, live off of the work that I had done to that point, and it would just continuously carry me forward. But what actually happened was that I've made it to that point, and what I forgot or what I didn't realize is that success, or to be successful, is one thing, and then to maintain success is something totally different. And I didn't realize that I had so many external forces pulling at my time and my attention, and my goal and my duty was to say, hey, I understand that they're pulling at my attention, but what got me here was hitting the weights, running, conditioning, staying focused, staying in class, and those things help you to evolve with the charts. But as success comes and as money grows and as popularity grows, so does the people who want your attention or the people who are attracted to you. And if you buy into or give your energy so much to the external stuff that doesn't have necessarily anything to do with the driving factor of either you becoming successful as an athlete or a businessman, then your performance or your business will suffer. And the caveat in that is that it's all on where you put your focus. If you believe you've made it and you're relaxed, then you feed into the external stuff. But if you feel like you always have something to prove and you always have somewhere to go and your goals are big and massive and you want to accomplish them, then you're going to be down the beaten path of doing what you need to do. And so that was my little small example.
Love it. All right, last one, Jeremy.
Last question. If you have a family member who is stuck in a bad career field, how do you motivate them to quit their job and find another one?
I think you sit them down real simply, and you talk to them about what makes them happy, and the fact that if they continue on this path of doing something that they don't like or doesn't bring them internal joy or doesn't challenge them or doesn't bring the most out of them, that it's not optional. It's a fact. They're going to live with what I think the worst thing to live with is, and that's regret. When you spend so much time doing something that you're not sure about or you don't love or isn't made for you, you will look back on that time and it may not all feel wasted, but you could think about what could have been, what could have been. And I think that's one of the keys to life, right? Is explaining to people, or even for yourself, saying, I don't want to live the what could have been life. I want to live the life that's like, I tried it. It either worked or it didn't, but at least I went out swinging. So when you talk to someone who's in this position, you have to give that energy out to them and help them understand that they are their own limiting factor. And if they believe they can have more, they can. But the worst thing to do is to live with regret, because that's irreversible. And I don't want that of my worst enemy, let alone a family member.
Yeah, I think I like to do is the same as John, like sit down and say, are you aware of how you're operating right now? Because some people here's what I always think. Some people get such in this groove, I always say, like, they don't even know how bad they really feel. They don't even know how bad they're really portraying, like what they're giving out to the world, or what they're missing.
Because they create a baseline that ain't healthy.
It's just like almost like eating bad or good. Like, you don't realize how good you can feel until you eat good.
100%.
Right? It's the same thing, right? So I would say, look, I don't know if you understand how shitty your attitude is right now. I don't know if you understand how unhappy you look. I can see it all over your face. I don't know if you have thought about how good it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to speak some hope into them and say, look, have you been dreaming about, like, did you just quit dreaming? Did you, is this what you saw for yourself? And try to make them, look, you can't make people do, you know, you can take the horse to water, you can't make them drink, right? But I think the biggest thing that I try to do is make them aware that this isn't it if they don't want it to be it. And not speak from some area, oh, it's easy for you. I get this. It's easy for you to say everything you do just happens. It touches the gold, you know. It's all bullshit, right? My real friends don't
if they're looking for it, Maurice is a resource. John's a resource, Cory's a resource. But for you to pull them out of it, you don't believe that's your job.
Like, nobody gave me nothing. And it can be the same for you, but just to make them aware.
Serious, you
know, I know, I love it.
We can sit here and have these bullshit conversations.
Yeah, I got like a twofold short thing, and this is just based on recent experience.
That conversation can be entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
To a large
and
part,
it can be entertaining and all these possibilities of what you can do, what you can become.
If a person's
I'm just about passionate
job,
life right now.
I'm just being
and
serious.
honest. And
Yeah, it
this
goes
is
for
just me
family,
personally. I
it
don't
goes for
like
friend.
glorify my story, but
because my
it
job
comes
is
down,
to
man. I
work
came out of
on,
prison and I didn't really
raising
have
the
too
grant-
much.
as
You know,
that
my
person's
daughter's
job
here.
should
You know,
be
so I can
to
remember
them. And
coming
if
out
that
of prison, not
family
having
comes
too much,
around,
having
they
the
seek
anxiety, like,
advice,
what am I going to
then
do
it's
with
a whole
myself?
different
How am I going to make
conversation.
something
Then
for
the
myself?
conversation
How am I
turns
going to
into
provide all
these are the
that
things
shit,
that I can do
right?
to help
And
you,
what
or the
it
advice that I
boiled
can
down
give you. If you
to,
apply it,
through all
and
the
you show me you're
stress, all
applying
the
it,
struggle,
then
all the
those
stuff
together.
of you
But if you're
working
not
on yourself,
applying it,
getting yourself
then
together, it's a
it's
fucking
that.
grind,
But you
my
can't,
man.
you know,
You know what I'm saying?
you can't
And
want. I can't want more
every
for John.
individual has to take that
And
upon
if anybody
themselves.
listens to this, I always reference John because
right?
he's directly across from
And
me.
my
I can't
time is
want more
spent
for
doubt
somebody
in
than want for
on how do I
themselves.
develop me,
And
how do
I
I get
can't
more out of me,
say
how
what's
do I
best
do
for
this
John,
so I can
right?
pick up
The only thing
and
I
do
can do
more
is
for
be
my
the best
family,
version of
more for the people
myself.
that's connected
And
to
if a
me.
person has the
And
humility, because that's where all
Me
of the
telling another
learning starts.
person
If they
they
have
know
the
they need
humility
to
to say,
do it.
okay,
Like a person who's out
can
of
you
shape.
teach me? Can I learn? But having an opinion on their job and their life, if it sucks, like, man, listen to me. Don't even, man, listen, my daughter's in here, but she'd say, we talk blunt. Like, fuck it. You know, that's the life that you choosing, my man. If you want to do better and you admire what I'm doing and I'm being the best version of myself and you come over and you ask a question, I'll help you out. But the more I'm dialing in on what I got to do, the more I'm thinking about the things that I want to accomplish in my life, you really don't have a whole ton of time. You know what I'm saying? If you're serious about what you really want to do, and I don't say that in any like sort of depressing way, like, you know, you're about to die tomorrow. But when you really talk about taking the company to where you want to take it or living your life to where you want to live it, you start to realize, like, shit, it's a lot of stuff to make this thing like, you know what I'm saying?
It's unreal.
Fuck, I'm pretty sure you go look at Amazon operationally. That thing is like probably
Unreal.
that dude probably got stuff he can't get to until December, you know, of 2022. You know what I'm saying?
He's about to go up in space.
Yeah, you know,
Like, yo, I'll get to that. I'm launching this rocket.
Yeah. You know, but one thing I can hope that everybody finds is they find that passion, or they find something that they so dialed into that nothing else matters, that nothing else that goes on matters. People, trivial conversations, and it's not to be dismissive about them, but it's to create boundaries which respect that they're doing that. empathize with them for a couple seconds, but go work on yourself. And if your cousin admires you and he has the humility, because it all starts with humility. I can't come to somebody and say, hey, Jeremy, you deserve to be here, or you should be doing this because it's not received the same way. You have to have the spirit of humility to say, hey, I want to learn from you. And if you give them instruction and they don't learn, man, cut your time. So.
I think this is a good job, by the way, Jeremy. I think it's a good way to go into the last subject because it plays off of that. Is basically what you just said, Mo, which I think's really good, and I'm not surprised. And that's how I think most of the time is it's not your job to fix them.
No, not
if they're looking for it. Maurice is a resource. John's a resource. Cory's a resource. But for you to pull them out of it, you don't believe that's your job.
No, it's not my job. That comes down to what you want. We can sit here and have these little baby conversations.
Right.
Serious.
No,
we can sit here and have these bullshit conversations. I can sit here and baby you, and we can, and that conversation can be entertaining. You know what I'm saying? And it can be entertaining and all these possibilities of what you can do or what you can become. But I'm just about action in my life right now, and where I'm at, and this is just me personally. I don't glorify my story, but it comes down to, man, I came out of prison and I didn't really have too much. My daughter's here, so I can remember coming out of prison, not having too much, having the anxiety, like, what am I going to do with myself? How am I going to make something of myself? How am I going to provide? All of that shit, right? And what it boiled down to, through all of the stress, all of the struggle, all of the stuff of you working on yourself, getting yourself together, it's a fucking grind, my man. You know what I'm saying? And every individual has to take that upon themselves to put that personal responsibility on themselves, right? And my time is spent dialed in on how do I develop me, how do I get more out of me, how do I do this so I can pick up and do more for my family or more for the people that's connected to me. And me telling another person, they know they need to do it. Like a person who's out of shape, know that they need to lose weight. Person who doesn't have money, know they need to go work or know they need to go do something, but it's a personal discipline thing. But if a person doesn't just enter the door of humility to say, hey, let me go seek advice or let me go seek a situation that will help me get to the next level, they'll never get there. Right. And so you have to protect the people who do, you really have to protect your time because there's people in here who need your time. If you're spending all your time just fucking around with loser-ass people or people who don't want more for themselves, you're doing a disservice to John, Jeremy, and everybody else in here who wants to learn and who are trying to grow. Spending time fucking around with these people, listen, I'm not getting on your train, right? Same thing. I got a dude, he just come out of prison. You know what I did? I offered him opportunity. Here's the opportunity. We can't meet anywhere else other than where there's opportunity. If you're talking about let's go to the backdoor barbecue, that's not my program. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
But this is serious shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's not my program.
It's not
it's
my program.
It's the truth, Mo.
It's not my
I love
program.
it.
But
I'm stealing that.
So you can't tell me what you want because if you wanted something, our bodies would meet in this space right here where you're supposed to do this joint at. And so that's how you need to treat these people and quit babying them. Like we got a culture of baby and grown ass fucking man.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying? And that's real. And person getting to these if you quit feeling sorry for people will finally wake up and be like, okay, I can't shop this story around to people that life is so hard for me, right? I understand we all have different circumstances. I could have gave 1,000 excuses when I got out of prison why shit wasn't gonna go right, and I had a bunch of good ones. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of good
ones. I could have gave you about 20 on why I should be fucked up, drinking, drugging, giving up. People won't give me a chance. If you're looking for an excuse to be in poverty,
they're readily available.
They're readily available. If you're looking for a reason to motivate you, to inspire you, to get your ass up going, that too. But what it boils down to, and I keep on saying it, take this and make this the fucking theme of it. Success or wanting success comes with fucking daily responsibility. People don't like responsibility. That is the bottom line.
It's a fact.
And the most successful motherfuckers, what do they have?
More responsibility.
Responsibilities that they tend to every fucking day. And when a problem comes up, they don't mind solving it, and they hold their responsibility. That's all it is. So I don't want to hog the time, but
I love it because a couple things. One, they expect the problems, right? Because when you expect the problems and you expect the issues, if they don't arise, well, great. We all know our order of operations and our responsibilities. But if you expect problems when they come, it's just like, okay, like it's no thing. It just falls off you. So I think expectation that when, Dana White always says this, when he puts his big toe the floor every morning, there's fucking 10 problems.
Oh yeah.
There's 10 problems. He's got 10 fires he's got to put out, and that's how it is. So he expects it. But I'm gonna go back to just kind of people and their expectation and the lack of understanding that those who they view as successful or as opportunity givers are putting in so much work that they don't see and they don't understand, that it creates this disconnect that most people don't see. And I'll give you an example. I've heard this a lot over, I'd say, the last 10 years. Hey, man, like, oh, you're doing that? Dude, I want to be involved in it. And every time I'm like, okay, let me kind of just break this down for you. Tell me why you want to be involved in it. Well, dude, I mean, like, man, I believe in what you do. You know, okay, what I do. What are you going to do?
What the fuck do you do?
To contribute to this?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, it's just like, yeah, you have partners. Like, dude, like, let me know when you're going to do it. We can do it together. Are you bringing capital? Are you bringing a skill set? What are you bringing? Don't fucking say you want to be a part of what I do and then stand there like I owe you something or like I disrespected you by asking you what you could bring to the table. You are out of your mind if you think I'm going to work my ass off for 18 years, get off drugs, pick myself up off the floor, go through everything I went through, and make something of myself, and then just get a phone call from someone that says, hey, man, I see what you're doing. I want to do the next thing with you. What's next?
How do
What's
I get
next?
That money so easy, Johnny?
Well, hey, what you got for me, right? You think I can make it happen. What do you owe? You want to know what I have for you? I got nothing for you because you got nothing. And I don't want to be mean to people I have personal relationships with or friends, but that's the game. We wouldn't be partners. The three of us wouldn't be doing this podcast. If you couldn't bring shit here, I'd be like, hey, Mo, Cory can't bring shit. If Mo couldn't bring shit, I'd be like, Cor,
off the team.
Why do we bring this guy in, man? He's killing air, right? You guys would do the same for me. So you can have respect and you can have relationships that are great within that, but everybody has to have a mutual understanding that doesn't always have to be said, that if I'm not bringing it, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
And I don't deserve to be here because no one owes me anything. That's the problem. No one owes me fucking shit. I have to create it. You know what? The same dude who calls me and says, hey, John, I want to be a part of what you do, you go out, you create something, and when you get to critical mass and you need someone who's been there before, call me.
Yeah.
Call me.
Hey, if it's blowing up and you need to keep, I like that. I think I always think it's kind of similar to Mo's. I probably do this but didn't realize it, is I don't really try to reach and grab. I just try to show by example. And so I don't think
that's your own responsibility.
That's my responsibility. So that's what I have a responsibility to. Any of these guys that I've worked with, guys at the gym, family, whatever, I'm showing everybody, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, in my way it's worked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you want to use me as a resource and you're really about it,
yes,
then I'm here. But it's not my job, agreed, to go. Because like that conversation of sitting down with a family member, I don't know if I've ever preempted it. I think they've asked and then I've said my piece. To go and grab somebody that you feel it's almost like kind of like they're probably not going to receive it that well anyway.
No.
If you're coming out of nowhere going, hey, I'm sweet. By the way, you're fucking up. Here's
Yes.
what it is. And that's never going to go well anyway, just the more I was thinking about it, right? Those conversations I had is somebody said to me, look, I feel like you might got it figured out compared to me. Can you help me? Then that's a whole different thing.
They
But
ready to
my
learn.
only responsibility is to showing my family, like that conversation I had with Alex, that's my main responsibility. And anybody that follows what I do to show by action, because that's how I got here. That is it.
What did Marshawn Lynch say?
All about action, boss.
all about action. And I speak into we were talking about survivor's remorse and learning how to and we were going to start talking about like keeping people at bay and not being sucked not being sucked, that sounded wrong, not being taken advantage of,
Sure.
or being depleted from cash from wanting to help everybody. And I used to feel like And this came
Oh,
through.
you sold out. You blew up.
I don't give a fuck about the people saying that shit anymore.
I knew that's how it
Yeah. You could have probably said my answer for me. I don't care. You know, I really don't care. And for anybody who's on their path to have success, everybody wakes up with opportunities, not the same opportunities, but opportunities to figure shit out, right? And we all have different journeys to get to where we're trying to go. And if you happen to make more finances than your peers, that is totally fine. You don't owe them shit, right? And you definitely don't owe your auntie or your uncle or your cousin who comes up with a good idea any money, not 5,000, 2,000, 1,000. You don't owe them shit. And one thing that I was taught was that there's many of reasons people do need assistance. I don't want to discount that, but they have lending institutions, right? And lending institutions have rules, regulations, and checks and balances for people based upon their credit history, their responsibility, and things like that. And when people come to ask me for money, I politely redirect them to the professional services, the banks, the credit unions, the angel investors, and people like that, and they can run through that criteria to see if they want to lend you the money. Right. And if you have the rigor and the know-how to go talk to these people, you really want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, then you'll go and do that. But you're trying to hit me up because it's an emotional play. I'm your family member. You've
love
made it.
Money.
Great fucking word. Love money. You've made it, John. Give me a chance so I can make it like you. I'm not a bank. I'm not the fucking ATM, and I've helped people before, and I've gotten
How many times has it worked out, Mo?
Zero.
I've
never.
Same.
And what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You fucking shoot your brother? What you gonna do? Beat your fucking cousin up? What you gonna do? Kick your aunt in the ass? You know what I'm saying? What you go? And they know they owe you the money.
If I've given family members money, I know I'm not getting it back.
Hey,
I'm already under the I already am in the notion that it is a gift.
I'll tell both of you guys a story, and this is for the listener who, John's hard, Cory's crazy. Well, like when it comes to money, I've always talked about how I have no emotional attachment to it. That's and I view it as a scorecard. So earlier on, and not even earlier on, a couple years ago, that came to bite me because I had a good friend, a professional friend, a successful friend come to me. And he said, hey, man, I want to scale this part of my business. Can you lend me 50 grand? And he was a friend, and I did it, right? Most people would be like, oh, John, I did it because I don't put this insane value on money. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll help you out for sure. Like, here's how we'll pay it back. And I hope you're listening right now, dude, because dude owes me 40 grand. I haven't heard from him in a year and a half. He won't answer my phone calls, and it's my fault. It's my fault. It's not his fault. It's not his fault because when you get to a certain level, you should know better. Kind of like what Maurice was talking about. There's institutions that go through checks and balances. I reacted emotionally because I do devalue money. I don't waste it, right? But I devalue it in those situations where I try to do good, right? And you don't just looking back on it, you don't just give somebody 50 grand. You don't just do that, right?
No. Let's say that again. Can you say that again?
Yeah. You don't just give somebody 50 grand, right? No. So I do it, and this guy has the nerve to take it. I've been to his house. I know his kids. I know his wife, and just shut it down. And he's got money. Lives in about 8,000 square foot house. Very successful dude. Just shut it down. I mean, like you said, what am I going to go do? Am I going to knock on his door and kick him in the teeth? You know what I'm saying?
Throw everything away.
So here's my decision. My decision has been this. For the time being, I'm not going to put my energy in that space because it will produce hatred and things that may cause me to lose control. So if I don't deal with it, and this may sound backwards, then I can keep doing the good things I'm doing. Once I go in on dealing with it, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And that's me being honest.
So I give you two things, and this is just, I don't have to teach you, but I just want the listener.
Absolutely.
So if there's another person who wants to lend money and they come into that situation, the first thing you should say, okay, what do you have as collateral that we're going to put a lien on, right? Because when you go to check cash in place, you go to any of these lending institutions, you're bringing some title, I'm putting a lien on your house, or there's something of collateral. But oftentimes in a friend space, we don't want to do that because it's an emotional play.
Right.
And it comes off as I don't trust you. But this is how friends and money can
mix.
They don't mix. I'll put it like this. If you're listening, you may be a family member, you came across this, you may thought like, hey, my cousin got a podcast, don't ask me for shit. Right? I'm going to just tell you that right now, right? If I give it, and don't get mad at me that I give to strangers.
You had a lot of that, Mo?
Yeah, they just, and so, this goes back from football years. This goes back to football years when I was, this goes back years. But I enjoy giving to strangers. I enjoy giving to kids. I enjoy giving to people who I affect. And just because you see me giving money to other people, don't compare yourself that I'm your cousin, they're strangers. I don't give a shit, right? We don't choose who our family members are. I love family, and I don't want this to sound demonic, but I'm serious. But I enjoy strangers. I enjoy kids who may just be poor, and they just may legitimately not receive the life my daughter gets, and I just want to help them out either with coats or bikes or other stuff like that, or whatever it is that we do. And so I don't feel guilty no more. Nobody should ever feel guilty that they've worked their ass off of something, they've built their lives to be what they are. And if people don't have something, man, all right, then you need to do what you have to do. Like, so there's just things within my program, right? There's things that I would love to accelerate and do, right? But you know what? I don't have it, but you know what I'm doing? I'm working my ass off to build it, right? I'm not going, and so I'm not going to Joe Blow Institution or Joe Blow Bank. You know what I do? I don't need those results right now. Whatever. I'll save money. I'll save this much this month, this much next month, this much this month. Go to the bank. What do you need to see from my credit profile? What do you see from a financial profile? He gives me, look, Maurice, it should look like this. And you're starting to work a plan. And I'm still working plans to try to advance and move forward in this shit. And, a guy had a building. Like, it was a great property like $2.7 million. I can move in there. I can do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G with business, right? But the way I'm structured right now, just because I don't have a history of finances, I can't do it, right? So what do? What's the roadmap to get there? You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm just building a roadmap, but then on a smaller scale, everybody can do that. You know what I'm saying? And just like the police officer, okay, you want more in your life, motherfucker, get up and do more. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say, hey, I want to hold on to my family time, well, hard luck, motherfucker. You can't get everything accomplished. There's some sacrifice. You know what I'm saying?
There's the clip.
That's the truth. It's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have everything. Like, my daughter's right here, and I had a conversation with her in the car, and this is just easy shit, right? I said, for the past 2 years, I've put you on the back burner. I've put my entire family on the back burner to hustle and try to accomplish. So I'd be damned if I feel bad for a motherfucker who's been sitting on their ass and just thinks that he can just come and ask for something, and he just wasn't willing to commit. So I sacrificed my family time. I sacrificed everything. And so I said, hey, I'm going to make sure starting this summer I'm going to be in your life. And I'll tell her, there's some stuff we have to do with work, but we're going to get our time in together, and I'm going to be a father. But we're not like, but this is how intentional am I being in my life. I'm serious, man. I'm intentional with these dudes because I'm done playing with fucking bullshit people. You know what I'm saying? I'm holding my life like it's a privilege to be in my life because I've put myself in a position of importance. Not that I'm better than anybody, but I know I handle my business. I know I got 100 odd employees to take care of.
You know what you want.
I know what I want. So, sorry, my man, but our lives just don't match up. I'm on a different journey. And
it's not my program.
It's not my program.
It's not
my program. It's not part of my program. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I think we did really good. We're only 4 minutes over. I'm impressed.
I tell you like this, and I don't know how it comes off to the listeners, but even from just being
Smooth.
structured to sound, man, it just comes better. So
good job, Mo.
Absolutely.
John,
Yeah.
you did sound really focused today. I guess that you probably went to foursigmatic.com.
I did. I didn't go there.
Or you walked in there into the kitchen and got some.
I actually didn't go there. I used.
I bet Maurice didn't go to Robinhood yet either, but I think he will.
I drank some of their mushroom coffee before the show, like I always do, and it just provides focus. If you're sitting in your office, go to foursigmatic.com. We always save people money when they go there. Drink the mushroom coffee. You're gonna get more done. You're gonna be more productive, and the stuff just dials you in. Plain and simple, and it tastes good.
It's really good. Rachel literally hates mushrooms, will not eat them, but kept seeing me drink the coffee and was like, all right, I'm going to try. And she was like, this tastes really good. And I was like, exactly. Just like Guinness, John. You should give it a try.
Well, you said Rachel hates mushrooms. How does she deal with you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Foursigmatic.com, FOURSIGMATIC.com /BIZBIS15. I'm harvesting eggplants. John.
Shiitake, brother.
I'm
Shiitake,
harvesting
brother.
eggplants.
Shiitake,
I don't know
my
what you're
man.
talking about. All right, if you guys
Hangover too.
you guys need to go to Butcher Box because you want free bacon for a year, John.
I would
and
love
$10
free bacon
off
for a year. Listen, I would love, but like Maurice said, we can't do the program at the barbecue joint. So
Nah.
we got to find somewhere else to cook. We got to find somewhere else to cook the bacon.
Yeah, butcherbox.com. Every new subscriber, if you use biceps as your promo code,
AKA Fosco.
free bacon in your order,
Yes.
plus $10 off.
Whoa.
They have grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork, everything.
Cory, what?
Awesome.
Listen, you're the health pro. What is
I am.
free range organic chicken? What does
That
that
just
mean?
means they can run.
They
around.
can
They're not
run.
in a cage.
So we're talking about chickens that run.
Yeah,
Okay.
just run around.
All right.
And then, obviously none of the poultry, none of the
Poultry?
beef.
They don't live in feces.
Yep, they're just fed. They're
There
fed.
we go.
Grass,
That's
grass fed,
yeah.
John.
There we go.
Grass fed.
That's the next show. Oh, what's up? Yeah, grass fed.
Butcherbox.com. That's BUTCHERBOX.com.
I'm proud of you.
I mean, I read it on the paper.
Okay, there you go, man. I'm not.
Can the podcast be stopped?
The podcast can't be stopped.
I'm always thinking to myself, one day it's not going to do that, even though I know it's going to do that.